Geometry lesson 4-2. We're going to get a little more detailed now and talk about congruent shapes. And one of the things with a congruent shape, in this case, this example, we're going to look at values. We're going to try to find the values of x and y. This is what we would call a congruency statement. So we're stating the parts that are congruent. It may not seem like this is that important, but the congruency statement actually tells you quite a bit. The order of the statement is important because this A is in the exact same location as K. It means it corresponds to that particular part on each of the shapes. And B corresponds with J because it's in the exact same location. C corresponds with H, and D corresponds with L. The order of the parts match up to their corresponding congruent piece. So with that being said, given these two shapes, we want to be able to try to figure out what the value of x and y are. Now x and y are over here on the right, and you'll notice that the x value is representing centimeters, which is a measurement of a side, and the y value is inside the parentheses with the degree symbol, which means it's talking about the angles. Now we have over here some more given information. If you had this congruency statement, you can actually learn a lot. This side, k to j, represents the part that has the x that I want. And k to j is right here, which means it's going to match up with a to b. And a to b is 9 centimeters. The fact that they're congruent means that that side k to j has to also be 9 centimeters. So we can now take 4x minus 3 and say it's equal to 9, because that's what it represents. And from there, it's a simple two-step equation to solve. We got a plus negative, so we add 3 to both sides. We end up with 4x equals 12. And we divide both sides by 4. And our final answer would be x equals 3. Test it and make sure, because it's always good to try stuff out. 4 times 3 is 12, and 12 minus 3 in fact makes 9, which means k to j would match up. Over here, we've got an angle at h. So we look at our congruency statement, and H is in the exact same location as C. Since it's in the same location as C, that means this 113 degrees here is the exact same as here. They are equal to each other. So 5y minus 12 is going to equal 113. So we got a little plus negative. We add 12 to both sides, giving ourselves the answer of 5y equals 125. Divide both sides by 5. And we get a final answer of y equals 25. And you can test that out as well, because 5 times 25 is 125, and 125 minus 12 is 113. So now you know the parts that actually match up to each other. So the congruency statement is pretty key. If you're ever asked to make a congruency statement, you need to think about the parts and how they match up with each other. We have what we call the third angles theorem. And it's basically stating that if you have two triangles, and I'll quickly draw some triangles just so we have something to look at. Now these two triangles, since I'm cloning them, they are identical to each other. The third angles theorem would say that if you have two angles of one triangle, like this angle and this angle, and they are congruent to any two angles in the other triangle, so maybe this one and this one, even if it was oriented differently, then the third angle has to be the same, which it has to be. Because let me imagine this was 60 and this was 100. That'd be 160. The leftover would have to be 20. 60 and 100, leftover would have to be 20. So that all triangles must equal 180, and if you eliminate the same amount of two of the angles, the leftover third angle has to be the same. So the third angles theorem is here. Even if this shape ends up being rotated, didn't group at all, my bad. Oh, the red must have been, do it again. Okay, now it should get in. No matter how the shape is oriented, if two of one match up with two of the other, the third one has to be the same. It's the third angles theorem. Alright? Find the value of x. We're going to use the third angles theorem. You'll notice that when you look look at the shapes, you got one arc here and one arc here, so this must be 22 degrees. You got two arcs here, which is 87, two arcs here, which means that's 87, and yes, whatever this is has to be what this is. So you have two choices. You could use these two values and subtract them from 180 and find this value, and then say 4x plus 15 equals that, or you can put all three of these expressions together and make them equal 180 degrees. It doesn't matter. It's whatever you'd rather do. 22 plus 87 plus 4x plus 15 has to equal 180. Add all your like parts together, 22 and 87, that's going to end up making 109. 109 plus 15 is going to be, I believe, 124. Equals 180. Two-step problem, subtract your 124. And you end up with 4x is equal to 56. Divide by 4. And x will equal, I believe, 14. Test that to make sure. 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 4 is 16. 40 and 16 would make 56. So let's see if that's actually true. If we had x is 14, 4 times 4, as I just mentioned, was 56. 56 plus 15 should be 71 degrees. If this is 71 degrees, then we're good. Well, 87 and 71 is going to be 158. Plus 2 more would be 160, plus the extra 20 is 180, so yes, it does work. Alright, a couple last bits of information, all involving congruent triangles. We have the reflexive property. Alright, reflexive property, remember, is if something is equal to itself. So every triangle is a reflection to itself. Any triangle will reflect onto itself. The symmetric property, if ABC is congruent to DEF, you can take and flip them around. They will flip. Just like when we say 3 is equal to 4 plus 7, you can write 4 plus 7 is equal to 3. Same idea, it flips around. So if we say one triangle is congruent to another, we can flip them around. That helps us with proofs and theorems. And lastly, the transitive property. If ABC is congruent to DEF, and DEF is congruent to JKL, that would have to mean that ABC is going to be congruent to JKL. So the transitive property still applies with the congruent triangles.